These things got to go because even though they have cool looking frames, the lenses don't do it for me. So I'm gonna have to put these on. These do not look as cool or normal, but I'm 59, and once you hit 59, you really don't care that much. In fact, the shirt, I've worn this shirt since May, like for the 8500. But I thought I'd put it on just because it looks nice. Hopefully it matters. Hopefully you like to look at people that are well dressed versus looking like slobs. And if it doesn't matter, then I'll just slap on a T-shirt like everybody else. So, if anybody ever watches this, let me know what you think in the comments. And yeah, I'm gonna say all the same stupid stuff that everybody else has to say on YouTube. Like and subscribe, please. Right, all that business. I suppose I'm not sure that you can even do that while it's live. So I'll go ahead and leave this up so anybody can see it later. And so if you have any suggestions on how to do this better, I'm all ears. I do have OBS Studio. I don't know how to use it right. In fact, just yesterday I learned how to use the share screen. So what I can do, and just so you know, let me tell you a short story about Microsoft, Apple, and me. So my name is Greg. Microsoft would be Bill, right, for Bill Gates. And Apple would be, what's his name? Oh, Steve, right? Steve Jobs. So easy names. We have Steve, Bill, and Greg, right? So Steve and Bill got stupid rich. Bill is still around. Steve died of a medical issue. And I did not get rich. I also did not invest in Apple or Microsoft. I could have invested in either one of those or both. Didn't have a lot of money at the time. This would be 1981, 82, 83. I was still in high school. So I have like, $300. What am I going to do? Either I can buy a nice pair of jeans and a cool radio, or I can buy 10 stocks in this company that may or may not succeed. So yeah, money isn't everything. You keep your past experiences, and those past experiences are part of the foundation of who you are. So I think that matters. But at the time, there was Byte magazine. There were all sorts of people saying, no, don't buy Apple, buy this instead. Or no, don't do Microsoft, do this instead. So there were a lot of other companies competing with Apple and Microsoft at the time. This would be, again, 1982 and 83, a long time ago. So 1984, 2004, 2014. So that's 40 years ago. So about 42 years ago, it would be 1982 when I was a senior in high school. So, so what do you guys want me to talk about? I'm 59 years old. I used to live in Texas. I live in Florida now. I used to live in Indiana, all three states, over a decade each. Was raised in Florida, teenage years and college in Texas, and raised my kids, had a family, got married and everything, went to college also in Indiana, had a state job there in Indiana. So if there's anything in specifically that you want me to address based on my own personal experience, let me know. Or if you just want my opinion about something random, of course you can do that too. But and everybody needs to stick with what they know. Don't just shoot your mouth off about stuff you don't know, because you look, like a moron. And I'd prefer not to look like a moron. Sometimes I can't help it. I don't have a lot of hair. I'm 59, and not a lot you can do about that. If I was, 16, 17, 18, had a full head of hair, I could look cool like everybody else, and I would care. But since I graduated from high school, graduated from college, bought my own brand new car, bought a house, worked at a great company full-time with all the benefits, had 4 kids, and raised them all despite my wife divorcing me and taking my house and my kids. I still stuck around and was a good father for my kids all the way through them moving out of the house and moving away entirely. One of them is in Japan, in fact. So I do have some life experience. Lived here in the U.S. the whole time, so I've been through all the presidents, starting with Lincoln. No, not Lincoln. Nixon. Not that old. 1865 would be the end of Lincoln, right? No, I'm more like starting at 1965. So that would be shortly after John F. Kennedy was killed. So it's 2 years into the Johnson administration, which I do believe had a major part in planning and coordinating with other agencies to take out JFK. Why would they want to take out JFK? Because he wanted to take out the CIA. And so it's like, okay, who's going to win this battle, right? The CIA has hundreds of snipers that they can call on. And JFK is JFK. So, yeah, you want to take out the clown that's in your way, and that's what happened. Just because you're president doesn't mean you're almighty. Doesn't mean you're you're immune from getting shot at. And obviously, President Trump found that out, right? So let me go to the latest stuff going on in the world here. I'm gonna put two screens up. One will be for Twitter, and the other, I don't like Microsoft. They are controlling like a dictator. They try to control everyone, and they data mine. Back when the computers and internet first came out, data mining was a thing for hackers, and it was frowned upon. But then, as soon as companies figured out they could make money doing it, they decided it was a good thing, and so the companies themselves started data mining our information. And so, those hackers can still data mine, but they're small competitors compared to these large companies that are data mining, like Microsoft, for example. Who's to stop them from hoovering up and sweeping everybody's information? Nothing at all. In fact, they have contracts with the federal government. They're in bed with the CIA, NSA, and others, and it's all part of the big thing, But he didn't start out that way. In fact, I remember a picture of Bill Gates when he was younger, like 20, 21 years old or so. He was working for a gaming software company. I forget which one it was, like Hasbro, or not Hasbro. That's a toy company. I think they did go into software though, but it was one of those toy type companies where they were making gaming software. This would be the early 1980s, late 1970s, and I think he was actually fired. He was just a regular employee, just a schlep like you and me, right? As an employee, and he was fired. I don't remember exactly why, but this is Bill Gates, the billionaire, who he was I don't know what his relationship with Microsoft is, but he created the Microsoft Corporation and got everybody. Now we all have to use Windows, right? That's because of Bill. And then there was Steve Jobs, who did Apple, right? And they were both young at the time. And Apple wanted something totally different. He did not want to take over the business industry. He wanted to appeal to the creative people, people that wanted to do artwork, wanted to do graphics, graphic design, that kind of stuff. And so to this day, people that are in the arts industries use Apple computers. And so all that started back in the late 1970s. And I was there and I watched it all happen. I've seen it all happen from, when I was a junior and a senior in high school. In fact, I started using an Apple computer. It was an Apple II in 1982. We actually had one of the first high school computer classes using brand new, they were donated, brand new Apple II computers. So that was pretty cool. But I learned BASIC. I did simple programs. I did a design of my own cool little portable radio that had detachable speakers. It was a lot of fun. And I was about to go into computers, but I decided not to because my brother decided he wanted to go into computers, And we took the same tests, and it turns out that he would have a higher position than I did going in. And that was annoying because he's the older brother, always the guy getting A's and bragging about it, right? And I'm the younger brother, being annoyed by it. And I decided, obviously, getting straight A's doesn't make you a better person. So why should I? This makes you a jerk. So I associated good grades with arrogance and decided did not want to be arrogant like my brother. Plus, he was my older brother, and I wanted to get away from him. I wanted to be my own person. I did not want to be following my big brother around for the rest of my life or being in his shadow. You know how that goes, right? So I eventually shook him off, and he eventually got himself in legal trouble. And I continued and graduated with college. I actually changed universities. I started out at a engineering university, switched to a teaching university. And so now I have 2 college degrees, one in secondary education and one in sociology. I take so many sociology classes as my primary. You have 1 primary and 2 secondaries, 1 primary and 2 secondaries. So primary was sociology, and the 2 secondaries were geography and political science. And so my plan was to be a high school teacher. And that worked out a little bit. I wasn't able to find a regular job. This would be 1983, a regular teaching job. There just weren't any available. And so the only thing that was available was in the inner city, like, the horrible behavior kids where they're all just running around going crazy. And I decided, no, I'm not going to do that. So I substitute taught for a while, and I finally landed a good desk job. A friend actually showed me what temp service to use to get a desk job. So I started out as a temp. After 6 months, I was hired on full time and stayed there for a good 10 years or so. And during that time, I got married, had kids, bought a home, bought a car. And so I did the whole family thing with, full insurance and everything. So that was nice. That was up in Indiana. So anyway, so now that I can actually share stream stuff, I'm going to go ahead and do that, starting with X. So there's X, and let's see what's going on. According to the Department of Justice, Tenet Media, whose roster includes Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, and Dave Rubin, has allegedly received $10 million from the Russian government. Oh my gosh. So here's the deal with the DOJ. The DOJ lies their brains out because the DOJ is controlled by the White House, in case you didn't know. We have 3 branches of federal government. We have the executive branch, which is the White House, and all of the 3-letter agencies, including the FDA, CIA, FBI, DOJ, many others. And so, of course, the DOJ is going to slander these individuals on YouTube to try to make them look bad because they're actually having an influence. Naturally, the DOJ, since it has become weaponized by Democrats, that would be the DNC, the National Democrat Convention, who is led by Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. They are the ones making the decisions for the Democrat Party. And so they are the ones who asked the FBI and the DOJ to put this information out. And it's a made-up story. It's all a big fat lie. So let's see comments. So this is from Raw Alerts. So let's watch all the lovely comments. Gotta love our government, right? Government is up to their old tricks again. The communist Democrats love to use lawfare. You know what lawfare is, right? It's using these agencies to make up lies. And it's all in the name of winning a Democrat election. That's all it's for. If Trump doesn't win, our country will be following in the footsteps of the UK and Brazil immediately after election. You are excited about this, and you are a communist. I'm just reading the comments here. They're now coming after citizen independent journalists. True. The U.S. Department of Justice has been taking money from China. F them. Okay. I don't trust the department as being truthful on that report. You don't say. BS, BS, BS. I smell the CIA. Well, I don't think the CIA even needs to do it. Comes straight from Hillary. As you can see here, all she has to do is talk to whoever's in charge of the DOJ. You know who that is, right? And they come up with some lie to throw out there, and that's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. They don't have to do anything major. Just throw it out on the internet, and it's got to influence somebody, right? Especially if you put it out on CNN and all of the networks. Of course, they're going to spread the lies, and they're all just going to group together to slander and libel and falsely accuse these individuals, knowing that they don't have a whole lot of money. So that's the game going on here. So these are all comments. They're all, a lot of them are pretty funny, you know. So what else do we have going on here? Let's see. Sign a petition. Oh, they want to change the Washington Commanders back to the Redskins. Apparently, people already have over 140,000 signatures for that. Well, until the Democrat Party is no longer ruling the executive branch, that's not going to happen, because you have universities, you have corporations, and the White House all working together to do the whole woke DEI thing, and it's not going to change until the power changes in the White House. And even then, you only have one part where you just have a few individuals in the White House, and then you have an uphill road dealing with all of the corporate media and the agencies that have a lot of liberal DEI-minded authorities in there. So you would have to do a lot of firing and rehiring people as directors of these agencies. Okay. So this one is in wokeness. You should write laws for black people. Don't group us in with everybody else. And Kamala says, that's right. Well, that's racism, of course. In fact, as you know, people are not black people. They're not white people. Most of us have multi-ethnic backgrounds, histories, and it's not all cut, and the whole word of black and white, get a crayon that's white and one that's black, and then compare them to anybody's skin. Nobody's skin is black or white. We are shades of skin color, and we're all people, and we should stop letting the government divide us. And that's exactly what that is. The whole black and white thing is about division. And so we should stop calling ourselves black or white. We may have originally come from Europe or Africa or Asia or, some other country, but we're all Americans. And we should treat each other like Americans despite skin color. So our goal should be to ignore skin color and to integrate ourselves socially, so that we don't form little race-based clubs. And I know that happens in prisons, and it happens when people are in a tribal mentality, but we don't have to stay that way. We can learn to discuss issues with each other intelligently without being jerks. We have to identify groups of people based on their skin color. We can group people based on what they believe. How about that? The people that are, feminists versus people that are masculists, and we can start making up words to counter the whole feminist side. If you have these feminists and they have their whole thing on what they say they believe, equality. Is it equality? Well, apparently not, because the actual feminists have most of the money and most of the jobs now. So why did they suddenly change? Well, maybe the masculists, the counterbalance to the feminists. So if feminists want better wages and want equality for women, well, the masculists should want equality and better jobs for men, right? Just counter it. And so at this point, that's what we should be focusing on. We should be focusing on better jobs for men and a more civil situation at work. I mean, if you have people, women in particular, falsely accusing men so that they can take their jobs as an easy way to, falsely accuse them at HR, and then they get fired for no reason whatsoever, this based on the accusation, and then that person that did the accusing gets rewarded for it. Yeah, that's a strategy for all women that are employed. And so now all men are afraid of losing their jobs, and that's messed up. So men need to group together and call themselves masculists to show the counterbalance to feminism. So it's masculism versus feminism. So masculines equal jobs, equal pay, and equal protection under the law. So that when a man is employed, when a woman falsely accuses him of something, HR is not allowed to just fire him indiscriminately. There has to be an investigation. And if that woman who does the false accusation against the man is found out to be falsely accusing him, then she should have to be fired for falsely accusing him. She should not be awarded. She should be punished. And all women should know that if they have falsely accused a man of doing something and it is proven, there has to be evidence that they falsely accused a person. Once it is proven that they have falsely accused somebody, then yes, they should be fired. And that's all I have to say about that. Let's play some of this video here.
And we're talking about specifically something that happened to Black people here in America. So we have to be specific.
All right, the audio sucks. I'm not going to do that one. There's JFK Jr. I like the guy. He's independent and he's into helping our environment. And this lady is all about the guns, of course, but we need to not need giant, ridiculous guns. We just need to be good to each other. We need to have a strong military. We need to have a strong local militia. But women should not need to have ridiculous giant weapons like that. Just my opinion. It's that's like a military special forces sniper rifle, and it's unnecessary. It's overkill. The picture looks cool and stuff, but it just makes her a target. If she doesn't know how to use it, if it's too heavy for her, if she's in a dangerous environment, then snipers are going to, take her out. And so it's one less good person in the world. Unless she's a horrible person, if she's a mass murderer, which is unlikely, then of course I take her out. But most likely she is young and fertile and willing to be a good mother to kids and a good wife to a father. And so why would you put her in that situation, right? We're just waiting for the toxic feminists to become kinder and to actually support and encourage men. It'd be really nice if the young lady is kind to men instead of hateful to them. And of course, men need to stop catcalling and treating women like objects. Men need to be more respectful, or just ignore women entirely if you can't say something nice. Just avoid them. Let's see. It's the SAVE Act or shut down the government. Who agrees with the Senator Mike Lee? Senator Mike Lee says that a bill requiring proof of U.S. to register for federal elections must pass, or the government will shut down. I agree. Well, there needs to be a vote, and if people refuse to vote or they refuse to put it on the floor for a vote, then yeah, if they're able to shut the government down until they choose to vote on that. We need to have a vote so we know where people stand when it comes to registering for federal elections. We need to have proof of U.S. citizenship, which is as simple as having a driver's license. And if you don't have a driver's license, it would be something like a birth certificate. They do have federal IDs that you can apply for if you don't drive or can't drive. And so there's a way to get an ID, a federal ID to prove that you're a U.S. citizen. There's a way to do that, even if it's not a driver's license. Let's see. After motorcade involved in fender bender, Tim Walt adds Purple Heart resume. They're just making fun of Tim because he says a lot of things that aren't true. And there's a little poll here. If you've never been polled, well, here's a poll. Who or what do you think are the primary things to blame for school shootings? That's a good question. Will you up your guns or buy more? Well, neither. You don't need to react to this. So, to blame for school shootings. The closest would be lack of gun control. And so my opinion on the whole school shooting thing that happened in Georgia yesterday would be the fact that they allowed a person into the school with a gun. That's on the adults. They allowed that to happen. Who's in charge? Who's in charge? Who allowed that to happen? They are responsible for allowing that to happen. Okay? It's not the security guy. It's not the teachers. It's the administrators, starting with the principal of that school. That principal makes the rules for that school. They could push for book bag searches every morning. They could make it like TSA, where everybody, all the kids, they could make a whole 360 gate situation where there's a high gate all the way around the school and only one or two entrances. So it's a fence, a 360 fence with two gates. You do it like that, like a back gate to go to the football field, and then a front gate as an entrance to the school. And then all else would be a high fence, like an 8-foot fence. So even if you reach up, say you're 6'3", you reach up and you cannot touch the top. And even if you jump, you couldn't hold on to the top of the fence. That's that fence like 9 feet, however high it needs to be to prevent somebody from jumping over that fence. Then at the gate, you should have to have all the students line up and have several different check-ins, just like the TSA, where they have people check in, you show them all the stuff that you have, they go through it all and make sure you don't have weapons, and then you're in. They could do that every morning just like the TSA, and they choose not to. They choose not to. That is on them. And that is my opinion. They could easily stop weapons from getting inside schools by having a TSA type of check-in. So that just like a TSA, just like the lines they have at the airport, you show, you open up your book bag, show everything you have, they go through everything, and then they have a conveyor belt, and then you put all your stuff back in there. They don't put it back in for you. They take everything out, and then you put it back in. And that would work. That would totally work. And it would stop school shooting because they wouldn't have guns. They wouldn't be able to shoot. Easy solution. They choose not to do it because it costs them money. So they'd rather have students killed than to spend money. That's what I'm seeing. All right. So Elon Musk here. Arizona refusing to move illegals from voter rolls. Elon says that's crazy, of course. So lots of things going on. And this is what I want to do. I want to discuss current events, see what you guys think, and then as things happen, similar to what Steve Luckner does, similar to that. Now, I don't have a cool background like him, but I want to do something like that, just talking about current events. And I want to see what your opinions are. And I don't want to sound like a clown. That's one of my priorities, is to not sound like a clown. So if I don't know what I'm talking about, I need to listen to you guys and try to get some expertise from you. And ideally, I would like to have experts with me based on whatever the day is. But I don't want it to be a clown show. I do not want to have people that simply want to talk about anything and everything. want to first have people the opportunity to discuss issues. So it's not just me monologuing. I'd rather have other people talking about the issues as well. Now, I don't have the kind of where I can have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people all talking together, but I think that would be cool. It's like a Tim Pool type environment where you have several desks or a whole meeting kind of situation. Probably where I could rent a building to be able to do that, because this little bedroom won't cut it for having a group of people. And so I'm just trying to get used to doing this, just starting out with the whole streaming thing and looking at different things that are happening. And so with X, the reason why this is better than just looking at news sites, like I can go to news sites, something up here. Let's see, where's my old news list? Press, gaming, press. Okay, press, liberal press. Okay, a lot of these things probably don't even exist anymore. Have the Independent, Breaking News by Independent Media, World, The Gray Zone, Rogue Rocket, Politics by Politico, The New Republic, The Intercept, BuzzFeed. So let's try BuzzFeed. Does that still exist? Let's try it. BuzzFeed is still there. Hey, look at that. You can see it right when I click on it. That's cool. And so, we can talk about Hollywood type stuff. Well, I didn't even know she got married. Apparently she did. Good for her. So he's a nice looking dude, right? He looks like he's from that movie. I can't remember the X-Men movies. You see that guy? All right. So anyway, so that still works, which is good. Press. Does Drudge Report still exist? That's an easy place to go to. It's typically liberal. You get a lot of stuff together, like all these different things. And he has links to all these different things happening. Leichman hands over White House to Harris. What does that mean? Presidential election. Nostradamus, who has correctly predicted almost every winner for 40 years, reveals Kamala Harris as his 2024 pick, which just means we have more liberal people wanting more liberal people president. Of course we do. And it also could be part of a fixed election, which we shall see, right? We've got September right now, October, November. That's it. In November. So we have 2 months, 60 days. It is September 5th, October 5th, November 5th. Bam, election. And so we have the rest of October, and that's it. But more importantly, we have this thing happening. This is from AP, which is definitely liberal. And so the way they say things is important. And that's where I want to use some of my experience in being able to see con artists, because a lot of people are not able to see that people are trying to trick them. They just believe whatever they're told. They read a headline and they just go with whatever is said, and they can't see that something is spun left or right, conservative or liberal. And so every word matters. Like suspect, for example. It doesn't say shooter, right? It says suspect. Suspect means that he may or may not have done it. But when it says shooter, that means they definitely did it. And so in Georgia is a state, high school, which means 9th grade to 12th grade. And this particular suspect or shooter is 14 years old, which means he's a freshman in high school. School shooting. They know the school shooting happened. All right, so the suspect in Georgia high school shooting denied denied making online threats last year. Of course he's going to lie about it. Why is that news? So AP just, I mean, how is AP coming out with anything better than people saying stuff on X or on YouTube? They're not. They find out like everybody else from individuals, from family members, friends, students, etc. They even find out from the FBI, that I think in this case, they found out that this particular person actually had an interview with the FBI May of last year, 2023, regarding threats of doing a school shooting. So they knew over a year ago, about 16 months ago, that this person was a possible threat to that school. Did the school know? Did they do anything with that student? Did they just let him walk the halls and did they just treat him like a normal student? I think they did. I think they just ignored the whole thing and allowed this student just to walk around the hallways, skip class whenever he wanted to, and totally ignored the fact that he had threatened to shoot up the school a year and a half before. In my opinion, they should have expelled that kid. After expelling him, they should make sure there's no way for him to get back into that school as a form of retribution. In other words, every school, including that one, should have a 360 fence high enough so he can't scale it or get underneath it or whatever. It can't break through. They should have cameras 360 all the way around to see body all the way around. They should have a whole camera room where you have all the cameras for all the. So you have the cameras, but then you have the video monitors inside of the video monitor room inside the administration building. So you have several security people. You have two of them, two security people walking around the hallways and around the grounds, around the fence line, making sure there's no threats, eye to eye, with a loaded weapon in hand, or not in hand, but holstered, ready for an attack, just in case. And then they should, have the TSA thing so that everybody's screened, so there's no way some clown can come in from the outside into where these kids are. These kids are innocent, and they're trusting the adults. And this is an adult failure here. This is where the adults have chosen and refused to keep these people safe. And if it was me, I would charge either the principal or the superintendent, whoever refused to allow better security for that school. I would charge them with contributing to the death of these people. Yep, I would hold them accountable. And I would splash up headlines like this saying that the principal and the superintendent need to be held accountable for these deaths. Every time there's a death, every time there's an injury, every time a gun is allowed into the school, a principal or superintendent needs to be held accountable. Either fire them or press charges. But they need to be held accountable until they actually keep these kids safe. Because kids are not safe. When I go to a sub job and I look out the window of that classroom at a high school and I see no fence, all I see is yard and a ditch and then the street where anybody, any adult, any crazy person, anybody from Mexico or South America, any criminal driving around with a weapon could stop, could shoot from the vehicle into the classroom, into any of the classrooms, because there's no fence, there's no gate, there's nothing, and there's a clear line of sight into the classrooms. So these are blatant threats. These could happen. There's no way to prevent it. In my opinion, all of these windows should be blacked out. So there's no way for a shooter from a road can see anybody inside of a classroom. And even better, the outside of these classrooms, if they're facing a road, they should be brick wall. There should be no window there. There should be a steel door that's bulletproof as a potential exit for each classroom if needed. So if somebody's breaking in through the normal classroom door or shooting it down, then they should be able to escape through that other steel door. But there should not be clear windows all lined up against the wall so that everybody can see out and everybody can see the road. And there's not a fence, a gate, nothing at all to stop a shooter from just shooting up that whole classroom. And then they can speed away. They don't even have to leave their vehicle. They can just shoot up the school and drive away. Haha, see you later. Unbelievable. So this is why I think that everyone should find a different type of school to go to, be a private school if you can afford it, or homeschool. It is perfectly legal for people to homeschool. And if you're poor and can't afford, a private school, and you don't think you're smart enough to homeschool, well, you don't have to be. You don't have to be the one teaching these kids all this stuff. They have curriculums online. These kids can learn based on what they're interested in, and also based on what they need to know, from an adult standpoint. We have the whole internet here. So why do people need to be endangering their kids, grouping them all together into a government facility that makes them all a sitting duck for one student who loses his mind one day and decides to shoot up the school, and he has no one stopping him? It's just insane. So in my opinion, everyone should homeschool or private school, and public schools should be shut down entirely. All of them should be shut down because they refuse to keep kids safe. That's my opinion. All right, moving right along here. How much time do I have in? 42 minutes. I'm going to shut this down in about an hour because there's no sense in me wasting my time if nobody's watching. And you're going to watch a month, 2 months, 3 months from now, and that's fine. But as far as I'm concerned, if I'm not having dialogue with anybody, then there's no reason for me to stay here. So at this point, I'm monologuing with nobody. All right, what else do we have here? FBI raids homes of top New York City NYC officials close to mayor. That's interesting. Oh, and they just did an update. So New York City, NBC News, FBI raids homes of two top New York City officials close to the mayor. Why? Among individuals targeted were the first deputy. Okay, why? Searched homes. They keep saying that. No reason why. Oh, here we go. The reason for the search. Finally, you have to scroll down to get the reason. Wasn't immediately clear. Okay. Not indicating the reason. They just do the search and they don't say why. Okay. So that's pretty much the FBI for you. They do whatever the heck they want without a reason why. And then once they get what they want, they'll make up their reason. It might be a legitimate reason, but we need evidence. They need to prove it to us that they're not lying, because they're largely weaponized politically. How are we supposed to be able to believe them? They have an uphill battle in getting public trust at this point. The FBI does, specifically the DC FBI. I think most of the other cities' FBIs are pretty credible, and it should be easy for them to prove legitimate reason for doing what they're doing because they're not politicized, right? So, but the DC FBI, because they have some individuals in there that are actually serving the DNC, the DC FBI needs to prove that they are legitimate. It is their responsibility to gain public trust. And at this point, they don't have it. So they need to gain public trust. How do they do that? Proving their legitimacy in whatever they're doing. Okay. It's not that hard to do if you're legitimate. So anyway, here's this Drudge Report. If you've never seen it before, it's at drudgereport.com. So how about we go to YouTube? So I go to the old Starbase, and they do ads. Thankfully, they're not at this point. So this is the NASA space flight, and this shows. If you've never heard of SpaceX, here let me show you the stream. That's in YouTube. Starbase. There we go. Okay, so this is on YouTube. NSF is NASA space. I don't remember what. Anyway, this is one of the two towers. See over here, there's two different towers. They call it the two towers, kind of like Lord of the Rings, right? So, and then these are some buildings. South Florida, not Florida. It's in South Texas, in the Brownville area. I think they call it Brownville. At the very tip of the part of Texas, they call it Boca Chica now. It's where the testing for SpaceX Starship is at, and so this is a tower where they actually catch the booster, and have two of them because they're concerned, and this is going to be a first time catch. And so if this thing goes up, they want to have a second one ready to go, so it doesn't take them so long to rebuild the structure if it does go down in flames. So that's the plan there. Right now, they're actually waiting on the FAA for approval because of FAA's environmental concerns, plus because it's a three-letter organization, part of the executive branch under the White House. The White House does not like Elon Musk, or they don't like SpaceX, and they're weaponizing all of the three-letter agencies, including the FAA, to find anything they can find to slow down SpaceX. They want to help other companies like Boeing, which is ripping off from it as much as they possibly can. They've been doing it for decades. They're the good old buddy, you know. They intentionally drip feed and make it cost more and more. And the federal government has always been fine with us giving them all the money they ever want. So keep on doing it because they're rewarded for screwing up and for it costing more. But now, finally, I think NASA is being more careful about the money they give away to Boeing. So anyway, let me go to, first I want to get out of this screen. I want to go to YouTube proper and go to news. Well, here's Steve Lookner. So he's my favorite guys that I go to, and he does a live stream. So I'm going to live stream him doing a live stream, okay? And obviously go to his site because it's fun over there. And he has a lot more information than I do. He has a lot more expertise. He's been doing live streaming for several years. I have not. I started like yesterday, so I am clueless. But this thing, audio. Where's the audio? I'm not. Maybe they don't let it live stream. That could be it. But this is his live stream. I'm gonna like it because I like his stuff. So they don't let you live stream a live stream. That's what that says. Oh, wait, it says scheduled for 3:15 p.m. Okay, so this is upcoming. See that right there? Upcoming. So it's not actually live. This is live. So let's see if I can do a live. Let's see if I can video a live stream. Live video a live stream.
Oh, man, is it?
Yes, but they cut out the audio. Okay.
See, that's another these are Venezuelans they're hanging out with, bro.
There's the audio. Okay, that's working.
So they're saying, like, bro, you know.
So you got this guy video streaming these guys, and here's me video streaming his live video stream. Where's him? Here's me doing this thing, little window thing. He's doing a little window thing, and here's the main topic right here. Not funny. All right, so I'm gonna go back.
Watch the game, bro.
Main YouTube. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on out here. This is my sheriff
in Pennsylvania. Was he considered
Who is
suing the Hard Rock
Do you know his name?
for letting him
Anybody
gamble
know
there.
his name?
Now, you tell me that guy doesn't have a hitch in his giddy up.
Notice his accent. He's a country guy, a redneck country guy.
He's got about 5 brain
Down in
cells,
Florida.
and 3 of them he left at the Hard Rock.
His
And
name.
now he's locked up, and he's going to prison.
His
That's
name is,
our goal.
His name is
But
Grady
I
Judd.
want to focus on him for just a minute. I want you to look at this guy.
It says his name right there.
This
Grady
is
Judd.
the guy. One of the cases that's under investigation.
So we have an
The lady's
attorney,
93 years of age.
grand theft, over
In
$100,000.
7 months,
An attorney
her
stole
husband
money.
died, and 2 of her sons died.
So he's a really good guy.
One of the sons who
A lot of guys
died
don't like him.
left
but I think
his
he's a good.
mama a trust to help take care of her.
All right.
Guess what?
I don't want to stay on any one particular thing, and I'm going to check the time. It's here, and I'm going to jump off of here. Ever heard of Everyday Astronaut? He's a really cool guy and stuff with SpaceX and others. And he did a video really just a few hours ago about New Glenn. So his name is Tim Dodd. A video and did all his videos about SpaceX. But then he decided, well, since often SpaceX doesn't have a lot going on, Tim Dodd wants more content. He wants to be the space news guy, and he does a really good job. And as you can see, he's actually out there talking to people on site. I'm not doing that. I'm sitting here in my bedroom doing this, right? So he's actually on the move, getting news, talking to famous people, as you can see here. So let me do the video here so you can see it.
Pro football has gone international, and the world's most
And
fun
I
and
don't
lively
subscribe
city
to
should
YouTube,
be
so I have to
next.
watch
Dublin, Ireland.
usually
We're
not
the big
for
we're
long,
building
thankfully.
for building our lunar landers.
So this is a first ever tour of
I love the
YouTube's
plurality of lunar landers. That makes
Blue Origin's massive New
I
Glenn
feel
launch
that
pad
too. I like that
with
too.
Jeff Bezos. So this guy,
exciting
Tim
times
Dodd,
for
is
me.
actually
That's what's so
sitting
cool is that
with
It's a golden
and
age.
talking
It is.
to
It's a golden age.
Jeff Bezos, who
It's
is
really
the head
exciting.
guy. He
You'll like
invented Amazon, right?
I think
I have strong feelings.
So as you can see, they
have
walked
a-
together and had their thing.
little idea. I think based on the size.
This
here.
is the final assembly bay.
And since this is a
So-
recorded video, or actually it was
Arm,
a few days ago, I can actually
Gox,
scroll through
mass.
this.
Yep.
So first,
And to
A lot of
emphasize his hands.
Here's where you can actually see the assembly.
Yeah. This is huge. I mean, again, people for scale there,
And when you
and
actually
then the whole entire room down there. See concepts and interact with them is honestly by far the best way for me to learn. And Brilliant presents their lessons in a way.
so he's just doing an ad here, but that's usually where he's at. He's in, just a room kind of like me, there's let me get my fingers going on. So here's me right here. I can't. I just have to do the pointer. So here's me right here, and here's him right there. He has a background, and I have a background. Right? So pretty much the same when it comes to just talking to the computer. But what makes us extremely different is him actually going to site locations, like going to SpaceX, Granville, to the actual site, talking to Elon Musk, Impton, having a tour with Elon, and him also having a tour with Jeff Bezos on site at New Glenn, which I believe in Kennedy. Is it Kennedy Space Center, or is it Cape Canaveral? Take your pick. But it's in Cocoa Beach, Florida. So here's some of what he's doing. Let me hit play again.
I think that is insane. This building is enormous.
And they're high because sometimes they need the rockets to be upright. They need to go through the door. That's nice. They have a big USA
It's
sign.
crazy.
pretty cool, right?
It's really
There's
cool.
Jeff.
And that fairing, I mean, from here it looks like
Yeah.
not much, but
Yeah.
it's
Again, you got a little tiny person out there. This is insane.
So this is where, you could basically put everything together.
Yeah.
Second stage, first stage, booster, etc.
All right. What else is interesting on YouTube? Starliner. Now, this in particular, see the site at the bullcrap site right there, 19 watching. They're kind of doing like what I was showing somebody else's live site, so kind of pointless. My intent is to show you things that are legitimate versus not so legitimate. This is just a trigger for young guys or anybody who wants to see a girl or boob showing. That's what this is. Pretty nasty stuff. Okay, use your self-control and choose what you look at. Choose not to look at women who are trying to trigger you. They are intentionally showing off their body, trying to get your attention. Avoid those people. They are little predators. They are using your weakness against you. Don't let them do that. We've got about 3 minutes left. So how about we do this? This is about 45 minutes ago. It's a update on the school shooting from yesterday. See what they have to say.
Today, large gathered across the country. Americans have now started claiming their latest benefit. This is a program approved administration in 2024. You can check if you qualify for free. People were paying like $259 a month, but now with this benefit, premiums have dropped to $42 a month. The reports say that Americans are now saving up to 76% on their car insurance through this program.
Notice this is supposed to be talking about the news, right? It's supposed to be talking about the shooting situation, but what are they actually doing? The actual news is showing some ad for auto insurance. What are they doing? What are they doing? Games. They're not showing the news. They're playing ads. And that's the great thing about YouTube. You don't have to watch ads. You can pause it immediately and back out and do something else. I just saw you. Yep. So I need to show YouTube and news that I am interested in and not talk. All right, I can do that. I know I can. Okay, here goes. I'm going to pick a couple videos on YouTube. I'll pick a couple things from that Drudge Report thing, and I'll try to not say I can do it. Here goes.
A Georgia community continues to grieve following the nation's latest school shooting. 2 students and 2 teachers died at Appalachia High School, about an hour northeast of Atlanta. A 14-year-old student is in custody, and authorities say he'll be tried as an adult. Priya Sridhar is at the school in Winder, Georgia.
I'm here at Appalachia High School, where the community is still mourning today. We're learning new information about both the suspect and the victim. The suspect has been identified as 14-year-old Colt Gray, who was a...
I'm going to pause it, just ask a question. What do you think about kids age of 14 being tried as adults? Should kids that are younger than 18 be tried as adults if they have killed someone?
Student at the school that he was actually on the radar of FBI just last year. They say authorities questioned both him and his father revealing that he did have hunting rifles inside a house, but that Colt Gray did not have unsupervised access to them. We're also hearing from authorities that he used an AR-15 style weapon in this shooting. We don't have any more information about how he got that weapon or what his potential motive could be. We also know that the 4 deceased victims, 2 of them are 14-year-old students, 2 are math teachers. The remaining 9 victims are being treated in hospitals. 8 of them are students. 1 is a teacher, but they are all expected to survive. We also know that the teenage suspect will be charged with murder and tried as an adult. Back to you.
This was the
Couple things to add. 16 months ago, when the FBI interviewed the father said that he has hunting rifles, but they're all secured and his kids do not have access to them. Turns out the kid has an AR-15. How'd he get that? He's 14. How'd he get that? Did the father see him with that AR-15? Questions, lots of questions. Oh, and as far as my opinion, no, I don't think kids should be tried as adults. They're kids. They should not be tried as if they're adults. Adults should be tried as adults. Kids should be tried as kids. Stick with what's true. I think the reason why they do that is purely for emotional revenge reasons. They want payback. It's not about justice. If it was about justice, they would charge them based on their action. But because they want revenge and not justice, they want to increase the penalty. They want payback. So also notice this guy's tie. You see his tie right now? I'm not sure what you see, but I see little space invaders. Space invaders are from a video from the 1970s and 80s that I used to play as a teenager. So anyway, let's hit roll again.
45th school shooting so far this year, the deadliest U.S. school shooting since the March 2023 massacre at the Covenant School in Nashville, Tennessee. It left 6 people dead.
The Georgia Bureau of Investigation has identified the gunman as 14-year-old Colt Gray. He's a student here at Appalachia High School. He's being charged with murder and will be tried as an adult. Right now, he's being held at a juvenile detention center. We'll get our first look at him at a virtual hearing on Friday. We're hoping to get a better idea of the motive as to why he brought a gun to this high school in the first place.
I'm just still in shock, and I just prayed that he would be okay.
I love you. Part of a flurry of text Erin Clark got from her son at Appalachia High School as a shooter opened fire, killing 4 people and wounding 9 others. Clark's son surviving the violence, reuniting with his mom outside the school.
He's not a hugger, and I had to force him to hug me.
Tragically, 14-year-olds Mason Schermerhorn and Christian Angelo, as well as teachers Richard Aspinwall and Christina Ermey, were killed during the shooting. Georgia Bureau of...
Here's another question. What do you think motivates kids to do that? Do you think it's the shooter video games like Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto? Do you think it's just kids being kids? Do you think it's easy access to guns in America? Seeing as how, lots of people have guns and it's perfectly legal in America. Do you think it's that easy access and the fact that any kid can throw a handgun in a book bag and take it into school and not be stopped? Also, any kid can put a long gun like an AR-15 in a music container, a guitar case or a trombone case, and walk it right in, no problem. Do you think that's the cause? I really think that this is an adult failure. Adults are allowing weapons everywhere. They're allowing easy access to guns for kids. And I won't be surprised if the father is charged in this situation, giving his son access to an AR-15. I think the father will be charged and should be, because parents need to be held accountable for what their kids do. I really believe that. But also, I think the principal and even the superintendent should be held accountable as well by not protecting the students. There's no checkpoint. There's nobody, like here in America, we do TSA searches for anybody getting on a plane. They search everything you have before you even have to take your shoes off. So they do a complete search of you before you get on. And schools could do that too, but they choose not to because it costs them money. And apparently they don't think kids are valuable. And so I'm concerned about that whole thing. All right, let me finish up here with this video.
The investigation revealed the suspected gunman, a 14-year-old student named Gray, began the shooting just after 10 a.m. He was arrested quickly after being confronted by a school resource officer. Right now, officials say there's no obvious connection between Gray and the victims.
This is everybody's worst nightmare. And I just want to offer my sincere condolences and our thoughts and prayers to the families that have lost loved ones.
Wednesday night, members of the community gathered at a local park to pray for those who were hurt and killed, less than a month after school began at the high school of some 900 students.
I lived in Winder all my life. I'm 15. I've been here like a long time. I just never thought. That's why my parents came here. It's such a peaceful town, and just nothing ever happened. I didn't think it would be where I live.
On top of classes being canceled for the rest of the week, we're learning that a football game that was scheduled for Friday, that has also been canceled. Those images we saw yesterday of students who were evacuated out of the school behind me where they were gathered, that is where that game was set to take place. We're also learning that one of those victims who was identified, Aspinwall, he was one of the coaches for this school. In Winder, Georgia, I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
All right. That was some decent news there. Back that off before background gets on. Then how about we just do one more from this Drudge Report deal? Scroll down a bit. There's all sort of, let me on here, get rid of that and go back up to the Drudge Report. You've before, I used to use this all the time, but I go back to using this because it's easy to find current news links, as you can see here. And so I want to use this as a resource. So I have to go hunting and searching. This makes it a lot easier for me. Plus, if I can stay on the same page, then I can scroll down. I can see something that interests me. And obviously, if somebody like yourself says, hey, how about you check this, this happened, then I can do a search and find what they're talking about, and we can discuss it together. So. And as long as I don't have a full-time job and I'm not at work doing something, instead of me just sitting around watching videos, I would rather watch videos with other people. And this is a good way to do that. This as entertainment, but rather as a group discussion. And since I have, actual real college degrees from a real university called Ball State University, that's in Muncie, Indiana, in the USA. And I used to be a school teacher, and I used to be in a company and for the state of Indiana. So I've had, for the last 30 years, I've had a full-time job. So this is more recent as far as job. I'm semi-retired, and I love having discussions like this. Even when I do substitute teach, the kids have assignments. So we're not allowed to just have discussions about current activity. In fact, I remember when I was a kid in, I think it was 6th grade, my school teacher actually had that as part of the class where we would search the newspaper. This would be 96 or so. We would search the newspaper, find something that we were interested in. We would take it to school. We'd cut it out, clip it out with scissors, take it to school with us in our book and show it to the teacher. And the teacher would allow to the class, and we would discuss that issue as part of the class. And we'd be graded on, our participation. So that's what really got me interested in discussing current events. So that's what I like to do at an adult level. I don't want to be having discussions with kids. They need to be at school, or they need to be directed by their parents. Kids do not need to be talking to perfect strangers. Kids need to be talking to kids or their parents, pretty much. I have 4 raised kids, And so I am very protective of kids. And I see the dangers in them talking to strangers. So I need to be talking to adults. Adults need to be talking to adults, and we need to be discussing current events. And ideally, what we should be doing is helping each other to get pulled back to the middle. If we're feeling extreme, feeling very reactive or angry about something on the far left or the right, I think we need to pull each other in to the middle so that we are more reasonable and we can discuss an issue without being so emotional. Because I have learned, I'm almost 60 years old, I have learned that people not think very well when they're very emotional. So we need to calm down, relax, and then think through things. And the more people we have, the more expertise we have in the group. And so ideally, we'd have a lot of in the little chat thing. So let me click on a couple things here. Hunter Biden cheats to guilty in tax evasion. That's New York Post. Okay, so that works well. And once I'm on, I can click on and off, and it follows. So I have to look over here sideways to pick something. How about this one? But then I can look over here, so it looks like I'm looking at, and all I have to do here, redo that. Hopefully it goes away. I don't allow ads on my site, so whenever people do this, I pick something else. No ads on my page. And if I can X off of that, it goes away, great. If not, I pick something else. So the Hollywood Reporter, Hollywood is California. That's Los Angeles, California. That's in Southern California. And I have a family member that actually lives there. So anyway, it is Los Angeles. Gladiator 2, the movie. Gladiator was the first movie. Gladiator 2 apparently is a second movie. And so this is just another news article. So I can, I can use YouTube. I can use this. I can go to Reddit, or I can go to DuckDuckGo. Pretty much anything. Although just this. Interesting. Okay. So I can open different pages, but it won't copy it over here. Once I'm in one page like this right here, and that's the cool thing. This is like for lots of different things, and I can stay on that, and you can see the things I'm searching for, right? And it parallels what I'm doing. I don't care about verify device, but then I have to come up here and X off of that, and then go on to say YouTube, for example. And then I can search all the different stuff going on, shootings or student speaks out or whatever. And then once I click on something over here, and then even on Reddit, I have to come over here to get on YouTube. And I'm just learning this as I go here. YouTube, dive into anything, share. So there's Reddit. So I can, look at popular stuff, and it follows what I look at. Nice. And then the last thing, if I don't want something, if I don't want to follow somebody else's link and somebody suggests something that I can't find anywhere, then I can just do a blank search. I can use Google. I'd rather not use Google. I prefer the search engines where they don't track you. And for me, I use DuckDuckGo. So I can just go to DuckDuckGo. And now I can just type anything. How about water buffalo in, say, Norway? Is that even a thing? Are there any water buffalo in Norway? Let's find out. Let's see, Wikipedia. Let's see what Wikipedia has to say about that? Oh, they want to buy us. Not happening. Asian water buffalo, North America, South America, Asia. So not in Europe at all. Okay. Probably off thousands of years ago when people actually showed there. And so that'll be my last thing, and I'm going to get off here in a second. So when America got started and they decided they wanted to control all of it, they started out, this would have been like the 1700s. First, they started with wagon trains going across America and getting killed by the natives because they were invading their territory. So that would happen. And somebody finally actually survived and got all the way to the west side and found the Pacific Ocean, and they were actually able to get back and tell the people on the East Coast in America that there was actually a coast, and that's how big America is. That's how big that land. There's a lot of land that's not owned, and so, of course, those people wanted to have control over and own that land. And so, how are they going to do that? Well, they used railroads. So they had people employed by the government, and they formed a federal government so that all of the colonies could be protected from Great Britain, because Great Britain was trying to take control over America back in the mid 1700s. So we got a federal government. We hired people to be soldiers and to defend all of the colonies, which eventually became states. And then they used railroads to take supplies and people all the way across America. First, you had to build the railroad itself, and then you did trains. And I think they actually started on both ends. They started on the East Coast, and they started building on the West Coast of railroads. And they eventually met in the middle, like in the state of Kansas area. And so once they had the railroads, then everybody could, get all their supplies out. And then they started building roads, and they pushed out the natives wherever they were using guns. They just basically killed them or told them to move or we're going to kill you. And so they just used roads. They took over all the land. They killed off hundreds of thousands of buffalo, or they would just roam around in herds for centuries before people came there. Natives here in America would follow and chase and kill maybe 2 or 3 buffalo at a time. And there's thousands and thousands of buffalo, and thousands of buffalo being born probably every day. So there's plenty of food for them. They just need to follow them around. So that's the way it was for hundreds of years. And then Americans showed up, Europeans basically showed up, took out all the natives, took out all the animals, and now we just have a bunch of land. And why? So a lot of it is used to grow crops, but a lot of this land is this arid land, not used for anything, like Montana, Wyoming. A lot of this land is not usable for anything at all. So anyway, I'm done for the day, or at least for now. I'm gonna go get some lunch because I've been trying to do this stuff for a while. Oh, I'll answer your questions before I run away here. You're from Denmark. Video games could have had something to do with it, mainly the kids being failed by the system and their parents. Yep, I totally agree. Usually multiple signs from the kid before they decide to do something that crazy. Yep. And for this kid, 16 months ago, the parent, the father, and the FBI knew there was something going on. I think the school knew too, and they all did nothing to stop this kid from doing this. So I think they're all have some responsibility in that. So you asked a question, have you seen JCS Criminal Psychology on YouTube? No. Let me look that up real quick here. JCS Criminal Psychology. I'm going to hit subscribe. So, oh, wow, that's big. 5.52 subscribers. Okay. Well, I've never heard of it, but I noticed they're all old. Why are they all so old? Popular. So the latest is a year ago. Most popular is 3 years ago. And the oldest 5 years ago. Wow. So nothing new out of this person, and I'm not sure exactly why. Let me keep reading what you said here. He analyzed a school shooter interrogation. Okay, I'll read some of those videos. And then your last question here, do you think the Super Bowl is rigged? I'd say no. They do try due to the online betting. So there's that. So I don't think it's rigged, but it could be due to the online betting. Because online betting has become legalized, there's a lot of money to be made, and so there's a lot more incentive to cheat. And so if they are not doing a good job in preventing cheating, or if the people in charge are not preventing cheating, or if they have money to be made, depending on who wins, then the whole system could be corrupt. The whole thing could be rigged. I don't know. So there's that as far as the Super Bowl. And by Super Bowl, you're talking about the NFL, which is the National Football League here in America. We only have one, so it's a monopoly for football. Although now we actually have the UFL, and so that's the United Football League, and I think we have a third one, like the American Football League. So they are trying to have more than just the one, which is great. Yeah, I'm out too. All right, you have a good afternoon, and we'll see you later.